Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Motivational Monday. My name is Kira. I am your host, and we are so excited to have you here today. So, we're incredibly excited for today's conversation and today's Motivational Monday. I'm actually sad because it is our last Motivational Monday of the month since we have a federal holiday next Monday. So, hopefully, you'll be enjoying your time off. Hopefully, it'll be sunny where you are. And you'll just be thinking about all of the ways that you can pour into your own motivation on a beautiful Monday. And then just waiting, of course, for June to start for us to come back together. But we do have our deep dive and our deep dive mentorship next week. So that's on Wednesday and Thursday of next week with one of our guides who you did hear from last week, Rakia. And we'll be diving into kind of the psychology of burnout, how that works, how to ensure that we don't reach burnout, how to be productive, how to be satisfied, how to feel good and focused in remote and hybrid work. So it's the deep dive. Sometimes after Motivational Monday, people are always like, wait, they should have said more things and they should have had this perspective and invalid. But when we only have 30 minutes and a good portion of that is me yapping my little head off, there's only so much we can say, there's only so much we can cram in, and there's only so fast as I can talk, which I'm already a fast talker, but you guys don't want to get me started on that. So I'm going to drop the link for the deep dive and the deep dive mentorship in the chat for you. Those are going to be where you're going to get the greatest support and the greatest guidance in the work that we've been doing all month because we're actually going to hit those deep layers. So, with all that being said, I'm very curious. Drop 111 in the chat if you are brand new to LifeGuide's Motivational Monday, if this is our first event that you're hopping onto. Or you can drop 222 in the chat if you are like, nope, I've been here for a while. I love being here. I come and join and learn. And we are so happy to have you. So, we got some newbies. Look at this. We've got Sean. Welcome. We're so happy to have you. And Wendy, we are also so happy to have you. Fun. Okay, so for those of you who are brand new, there's two ways to use life guides. One is our events where you're going to see me and a lovely guide, just as you see Kevie here with me today. And you'll get a feel for who they are, their experience, and how they can possibly help you in regards to the top topic that we're talking about for the month. We chose these topics this year based on the topics that you all use our guides for. So we wanted to make it as relevant and as supportive to you so that you could get the support that you were looking for. And then we have our one-on-one journeys where you have a personalized guide session with one of our guides who can help you navigate more of the deeper, intricate layers, hear your story, hear where you're at, and help you get to where you want to go. So that's what Life Guides is. You're either working for or partnered with in some way an organization that is partnered with Life Guides. So you've got access to us for free, and I would suggest using it. We are not therapists, and I feel like some people say, oh, I've already got a therapist. I don't need life guides. We help in all layers of life. So we can help you find more productivity in your remote work. For me, I had a guide that helped me get out of $30,000 of debt in a little under a year and a half. I could not go to therapy for those things. So this is where mentorship and coaching gets to play a larger role in a lot of peer-to-peer support with people who have just been where you've been and want to help you get to where you're looking to go. So, enough of my jibber jabbering. We've got a conversation for you today. So, we're talking with Kevie about how to stay disciplined while working remotely. And I wanted to give you all the definition of discipline before I intro Kevie, just so that we can have kind of like a group understanding of what discipline is. I grabbed this from the Cambridge Dictionary, and I have no idea how it differs from Webster's Dictionary, but I liked this definition for the work that we're doing the best. And it says that the definition of discipline is to carefully control the way that you work, live, or behave, especially to achieve a goal. And I feel like the goal that we're going to be talking about is being able to be more productive, being able to work remotely, work from home, work in a different circumstance, and hopefully be able to find more productivity and feel like you're more satisfied in the work that you're doing. So we've got the wonderful Kevie here. This is his first time being on Motivational Monday or any of our events, so give him a nice warm welcome. His superpower is helping individuals navigate the complexities of loss and recovery with compassion, practical strategies, and the support needed to rebuild and move forward. So, Kevie, we're so excited to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with remote or flex work and why you feel like this conversation is important to you?
Thanks, Kira. Good morning. I'm glad to be here. It's important to me. During COVID, I worked remote for 3.5 years, and it was a different experience. And I found it to be pretty rewarding, and also it was an opportunity to uh, develop more discipline, and also it allows you to be more creative because you don't have the boundaries sometimes that you when you're within the office. And with that being said, uh, I found it also important to know when to turn it off, because a lot of times when you leave the office, you actually are gone. You actually leaving work, but if you still at work, you still at home, you have a tendency to still want to try to resolve an issue, and 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 it. I found it to be important to just when you shut the computer off, shut your mind off as well as best you can. Um, but been in human services and during that time working with people, different clients, it also allowed you to stagger your schedule to better assist people with their work schedule. So if they got off at 7, you could change your schedule to fit someone that you needed to get a hold to at that time. Um, Also, working remote. It lessened the travel stress of the commute. But all in all, I found it to be a good experience, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I feel like a lot of us can relate. Even Melinda said it in the chat. I learned the term for that recently. It can be called attention residue. It's so hard to turn it off, and it makes total sense. For those of you who are here listening, can you drop 333 in the chat if you relate to struggling to turn your mind off or turn the work off if you work remotely? I can so relate to that. Sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm going to bed and I'm like, why? Why is my head thinking about these things? And there are a lot of pluses. There are also some minuses as well that go with working remote. Some of them outweigh each other, but we also will be talking about that today as well. Christine works in the office and she still feels that. I relate so hard, girl. Um, so, it's interesting because discipline is needed in any scope of work, but especially when you no longer have those rigid boundaries. If you're in an office, you do have more boundaries than you would working remotely. You've got typically a desk that you work at. You have a physical location that you go to. You have a time that you start and a time that you end. And yeah, some of that attention residue may bleed over. I remember working in hotels and there was so much that was happening at every second, and it would be like 11 o'clock at night, and I would be going to bed, and I'd be like, oh my God, did I tell that guest? Did I send the roses up to the guest room? Something along those lines. And I think that's inevitably a part of work as well, but when you work remotely, there really are a lot less boundaries. And you are a lot more independent. You have a lot less expectations from others. So you put more expectations on yourself. And I think that is naturally a part of what happens when you have so much more freedom and so much more independence. And this is why discipline becomes very important in the work that we do. So, Kiwi, you obviously just told us that you worked remotely during COVID doing some disaster relief work, and now you're back to going to a work location every day. What are some of those noticeable differences in productivity between working remote versus working from the office that you've noticed over this time?
I would say uh, just the monotony piece. You work from home. You seem to be more creative and not having the outside stresses. Say this at the office, and also um, being able. Some of the pluses is being able to resolve an issue face to face. Um, Sometimes working remote with everything being email or even sometimes Zoom, things could be a little vague, and but staying connected with your supervisor is even more critical when you working from remote to to make sure that you're receiving the guidance or the task that's the most important. Um, some other things would be uh, staying engaged, as I mentioned, and body language. You when you're working remote, you don't see people's facial expressions or their body language that um, may be uh, not so pleasant. I'll put it that way, but at the same time, there's pluses to either one. But as far as remote goes, I would say again that it was less stressful, less, and the communication uh, may have had some roadblocks, but all in all, as long as you had Zoom, you could reach out to people. And let's see, but on the other hand, the socialization piece sometimes goes lacking because you are working from home. But I did find it you can build a rapport with your clients over the phone just as well as seeing them face to face. In my case, I was working with people with disaster relief, but we built some close relationships over the phone over those 3.5 years, and it was almost as if we knew each other, although we hadn't seen each other face to face. So you have to improvise, but again, you can be creative and also being able to work from any location. It was nice to work at the beach. So
I love that. The last part, it
work
was
from
nice to work at the beach. I relate so hard. I really love it. Like today, it's cool to have location freedom, and it doesn't, time freedom is an interesting concept when you're working remote because there are some organizations where you have to clock in at 5 and you have to clock in at 9 and you have to clock out at 5 and you have to account for everything that you do during those hours. There are other organizations that have a more fluid structure where it's like, hey, as long as you get your work done, I don't care if you're doing it at 6 a.m. or 11 p.m. If you've got a lunch with a friend in the middle of the day, go do it, get your workout in, but please make sure you're putting in the hours and please make sure you're getting the work done. Outside of that, we're good and happy. So it really is a little bit more of a diverse work environment when you are remote because there are different remote jobs that require different things. I love the fact that Life Guides is so easy and I get to do these events and walk my dogs afterwards and be able to come back, work. I also get like I imagine going back to work in a real in-person job. Like my brain goes there sometimes because I personally miss the socialization piece. But I love that I get to work at my creative pace when sometimes in the morning I'm the most creative, sometimes in the evening I'm the most creative. I love that I get to walk my dogs, take care of my dogs. If my mom ever needed me for an emergency, I could absolutely be there, no questions asked. And I love that you talked about even the body language, Kiwi, during in working remote, because I think, again, we have more independence, right? And it means that we have more responsibility for our time and the way that we show up. I'm known in Life Guides for being fun and bubbly and always having my camera on. And I start almost every meeting and I say hi to everyone and all the things. People enjoy me because I choose to show up, show my face, share my voice. I know that I've got valuable things to say and I know I'm there for a reason. I know that there are some people in some organizations who have their camera off and don't say that much. And that might work perfectly for you, but that also might be closing you off to some of those socialization aspects. Or it might be a place where you can challenge yourself to grow a little bit and maybe show up on camera a little bit more and become a voice that people want to hear and realizing that you have something great to share because people know if there's an idea in a meeting that I am like, that's not going to work. And it's not because I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's not going to work, but it's because I'm in the meeting and I've got to look like, are we sure that we're going to do that? And that's where body language really does come in. So I'm grateful, Kiwi, that you brought that to the conversation because the team members that I work with who I have the best relationship with, they've got their cameras on. They're saying hi. I love knowing what's going on in their life. If they show up one day and they're sick, I'm sending them a message and I'm like, stop it. Stop it right now. Go back to bed. But they're still even showing up, right? So just a little side caveat to all of that. But specifically about the socialization piece, I also want to implore you all, for those of you who work remotely or hybrid and you do struggle with the lack of socialization that sometimes comes with it. Working in a coffee shop is great if you have the ability to do so. Working in a co-working space is amazing. I love working in a co-working space. A co-working space is basically like this really, mine actually is just like this really cool vibey building where they've got all of these desks and all of these bar tops and meeting rooms and coffee machines and all of the things, good music playing, good vibes. Everyone's there to work, but because so many people are working remotely, everyone's doing it together in one location. So you get to see people and say hi to people and get out of your house and get dressed up. And you probably shouldn't wear your pajamas to the co-working space. I would suggest putting on something nice, which sometimes it's easy to even get stuck in wearing your pajamas. So the socialization aspect is really important. And I wanted to just highlight this because this is one of my favorite statistics. You're 40% more likely to die from loneliness than you are from smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. So if you're working remote and you're noticing that you're struggling, um, do something about that. I'm an incredibly extroverted person. I gain energy from others. It's why I talk so much so people can talk back to me and I can take their energy and just fuel myself up. If you notice that you struggle with the socialization and not being around people, work on getting around people more because once I started making that a priority and I moved back to town and I started having more people around me, my work got better and my mental health got a lot better as well. So, Kiwi, we I want us to talk a little bit about how we start to manage our time while working remotely. Do you have some tools, some supports for us to start to see, okay, this is how I can be a little bit more productive, how I can work on my time management?
Sure, sure. Uh, you would want to still stick to your deadlines as if you're still in the office, and also if you can um, create a schedule that's similar to your office. So you may be working from home or or at a coffee shop or a co-working space, but keep that structure that the office provides within your home or wherever you are. Also, uh, what I did was create a checklist of the things that I wanted to accomplish during that day, and I could, even if some emergencies came up that I had to address immediately, I could always go back to where I left off on that list. And if for some reason I didn't get everything accomplished that day, I would move that to the top of my list for the next day. So those are just some of the techniques that I use while working remotely that was effective. Because sometimes if you get an email and you don't, you can lose track of some of the things that was initially your priority because of or unforeseen emergencies that come about. So that keeping that list keeps you on track.
Thank
And
you for that. I'm curious how many of you have a to-do list that you follow every day? Drop 444 in the chat. I work best with some sort of list where I can see it helps me in two ways. It helps me from being able to see, okay, this is what I have to do. And it also helps me see this is what I have done. So there are some days where if my brain is like, you're not doing enough, that I will start writing down everything I've done that day. Because you'll get an email, you'll be in a meeting, someone asks you for something else, and you have this to-do list of all the things that you wanted to do, but you didn't get to maybe a couple of them because you got pulled in these other directions. On those days, I like to add those things into my to-do list and cross them off as if they were already there and done because it makes me have that sense of accomplishment. It gives me that dopamine rush of being like, oh, I did something good. I did something satisfying today. I actually put in the work. So that's a little tip that has always helped me, but I need a physical to-do list. It can't be in Asana. It can't be in my Google Calendar. I have a notebook and I write it down and I highlight everything as it's done. Um, there are certain things that I need very physical for me to be productive because my whole entire life is on this computer screen at all times. And I mean, I know I'm not the only one with 50 million tabs open at any time with a million things to do. So we're coming to a little bit of our close of this session, and I'm curious if you can help take us through the way that you do your to-do list and take us on a little exercise so that people who maybe already have their to-do list, maybe they optimize it, or maybe those who are just realizing now, oh, I might need a to-do list, they can start focusing on that now.
Okay, sure. If you can just take out a piece of paper and just jot down, we'll just use today as an example of what you all intend to accomplish today. And one of the ways I prioritized my list was based on the task that my supervisor had given me, as well as what's the most critical um, at the time, safety wise, because I was working with individuals that was displaced. So it may be a case that a person needed a hotel, so that or a repair at their home. So those type of tasks, they was at the top of my list. So the basically working from the most critical to the least critical is the way I did it. But because I know you guys have different industries and working in different industries rather, that the priority may be different, but using that as just a an outline as what's is more critical for you guys. That was something that I would suggest, and it also worked for me during that time.
One thing that helps me on my to-do list as well is I also, next to every task, I write out how much time I think it's going to take. That has been incredibly helpful for me because if I've got a long to-do list, I sometimes will get overwhelmed. And it feels like I don't have enough time to do all of these tasks. But if I realize, like, oh, I just have to, like, sending this email is very important, but it's probably only going to take me 10 minutes. I write down 10 minutes next to that email. Not many projects take more than like 25, 30 minutes unless it's a bigger project, and I just break it down into smaller steps. So that might be helpful for you as well in realizing that, oh, there is a time that I can associate with this. Um, and it helps me be like, oh, I've got 20 minutes before another meeting. Let me go ahead and get this 10-minute task done. And then I'll have 10 minutes to go to the restroom, drink some water, eat some grapes, and then pop onto the meeting and be in a good state. A to-do list is going to be really helpful for you. Erin has a monthly to-do list, a weekly to-do list, and a daily to-do list. I want to be like you when I grow up, Erin. That sounds amazing.
Me too.
So, Kevie, you and I talked about this as we were opening up today's session. You've worked remote, you've worked in person. I'm curious, as we're coming to an end of the session, if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. But which do you prefer and why?
I I would prefer remote, and I would say because the drive and everything that goes into actually going to the office, it uh, because during COVID was the only time I had ever worked remote. I didn't know that it exists really. That was an option, but now that I have something to compare it to, I just reflect back to those days at the beach where I was able to work and get things done. It breaks the monotony, I would say, and it keeps you more refreshed and you're able to be more rejuvenated. I would say based on remote. And that's just my opinion, but um,
I think I feel similarly. I've worked I would do hybrid, but I would do hybrid only when I want it. Like I need some socialization. I'm going to show up for 4 hours and then I won't
Right.
see you all for 2 months. No, kidding, but not kidding. But I love remote. I love the idea. I mean, I have two dogs, so I can't do it. But if I told Life Guides today, like, hey, I'm moving to Italy for 2 months in 2 months, um, all the events will stay exactly the same. I will be available during these hours. I know that the company that I work for right now would be like, cool, perfect. As long as you're still accomplishing, go, be free, enjoy your life. That's a part of one of the great things that comes with the remote work. So I really, truly would have to say, yes, there are some struggles that come with remote, but for me, the pros far, far, far outweigh the cons. And for those of you who are here in the chat, drop in the chat which one you would prefer. We're very curious. And we are at an end of today's session. So we are so excited to have you. We hope that this month has been really productive and reflective for you. I hope that Kiwi's perspective helped you all have a little bit of understanding of the fact that, like, yes, we do need discipline. Yes, there's a higher level of responsibility. Yes, we have a higher level of independence. And these are some of the simple ways that we can start to find more of that balance, find that productivity, find that balance. And Kevie is one of our guides here at Life Guides. So if you're looking for someone maybe to just have one or two calls with where you're like, hey, this is where I need a little bit of help with. What are your suggestions? How can I grow from here? Then Kiwi will be a great person for that. We also have the deep dive next week and the deep dive mentorship. We would love to have you there joining. So I'll drop those links in the chat and also Kiwi's link as well. And we have just another second, so let's see what you all said. Remote for me, based on life needs, and I'm an introvert. I get it. Remote and option for anywhere in the world. I get that. Sean likes hybrid. Chris likes remote. Remote. Remote and hybrid when necessary. Yep. We're all on the same wavelength. Freedom's really nice. And being able to work on our own terms is really nice. So thank you all so much for having us. We hope you have a beautiful week. If you would like to leave any feedback, questions, comments in the chat, we will, or not in the chat, in the survey that pops up at the end of the session, we would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for having us. And thank you so much, Kiwi, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone. Happy Monday. Stay
Happy Monday.
motivated.
Yes, ma'am.